Hello ladies and gentlemen and welcome back to the channel. So today it is the semi-finals of the Champions Chess Tour. The breaking news from yesterday, Magnus Carlsen chose to face MVL. He got this privilege because he's Magnus Carlsen and he finished top of the leaderboard after the round robin stages. So that means our first semi-final that we will look at is Alireza Firouzja versus Jan Nepomniachtchi. A reminder, Alireza finished second, so qualified straight here, and Jan Nepomniachtchi got through in the survival matches. So we're going to have a look at one of their games. This is Jan with the white pieces, and we get a Sicilian defense. Knight f3, e6, and then d4, take, knight c6. And all of this so far is theory. It's a Taimanov Sicilian. So this is what Alireza has selected. He could have also gone for some sort of knight off or a dragon, but he goes for the Taimanov. There are many variations. Jan chooses bishop to e3 here, a6, a3. Should you want to bring the bishop out this way and retreat it so that it doesn't get hit with moves like b5. a6 is a lovely move when you bring the queen here so that your knights can't sacrifice themselves on b5. So we get b5, take, and then the queen comes out, just looking to control some squares. If I can draw straight arrows. We get Alireza offering a queen trade and just long castle. So we keep the tension because we'd rather get taken and activate our pieces, which is what happens. Queen d4, bishop d4, and this move, nice targeting the center. So now the knight could become vulnerable. So we secure the center. So far, so logical. No one's done anything stupid. It's 10 minutes. Alireza's used 2 minutes 10 seconds, and Jan playing ever so quickly has 8 minutes 20. So he's up 30 seconds on the clock, which is not much. We get the knight developing out this way, and then a4 trying to break on the queen side, and we just get the pawn shoved forward. We've got to retreat our knight, and just watch this dance. So the bishop retreats out the way. We don't want our bishop taken. We get bishop to e7 and king b1. And then d6, which does block in your dark squared bishop, but it's going to help solidify the center, and it's just a useful move controlling these two squares. But it can become weak now because it's no longer supported by a pawn. And this knight dance by Jan is incredible. So that knight was there. It went there, it went there, and now there. Did a little dance to get to b3, but it's now blockading this pawn. It's going to have targets on this pawn if this pawn ever goes forward, and it's going to look for mobility coming in. That's why this d6 move was so important. So we get rook to c8, and then the bishop coming out. And here, Alireza makes a mistake. He should not have retreated the bishop. Here, it's already getting difficult. Jan's already putting pressure on this pawn. You needed to push it, as I said, to control these squares, but it is now weak. Rather, what the computer wants is just rook d8. Yes, you played rook c8, but you need to rather put this rook here, and if you're going to move a rook to the c file, rather this one, because it's not doing anything at the moment on the a file. He doesn't do that, and he retreats the bishop, and now Jan plays the best move, bishop to f2, and now the rooks are connected. Yes, you can play this, but now we can do a rook lift and double shortly. So we trade off the light squared bishops, and now we double the rooks. And this pawn will forever be the weakness in Alireza's position. And while you're targeting this weakness, other things will become weak. So Alireza is going to have to gather his forces as best as he can to try and protect this. And in doing so, he might cause himself some other problems. Or he might defend perfectly. But look at these rooks getting to lovely squares, infiltrating in the black position. And it's just about finding a way through. So we offer a rook trade. You could, instead of playing bishop here, you could take, but this is no good because the dark squared bishop is going to come and eat these dark squared pawns. So rather not. Rather be taken and keep your rook on the a file. Here, Jan doesn't play completely accurately, but he's up massively on time now. He's 3 minutes 38 to 29 seconds, and he goes on really nicely. The advantage just swells as he plays beautifully. He coordinates his pieces. He finds a way into the black position. He trades off the dark squared bishops, and he wins a pawn. And not too long, he wins a second pawn. And from here, it's just about converting. He chases back the pieces. He reduces counterplay, trades off a set of rooks. Yes, he gives up this pawn, but he gets the h-pawn back. Now this pawn is passing. These pawns are passing. and it's too much for Alireza to defend. With seconds left on his clock, he tries his best, but eventually he resigns. Right after check, we get here, and here he resigns because yes, you can take this pawn, but then I promote over here. So at this point, Jan Nepomniachtchi is up 2 games. He won the first game, and he won this game, which was the second one. So Alireza has to strike back, and he has to strike back now. The format of the semifinals is they play a best of 6, so it's first to 3.5. And this game is what would prove to be the pivotal game. So with Alireza with the white pieces, and he elects for, we've seen this a lot already in this tournament, this kind of b3 kg setup, and he chooses to play this, and he chooses a double fianchetto. We have seen like e3 systems with the bishop coming out this way, but he chooses for a double fianchetto, kind of off-standish rather, if that's a word. But you're like, come on, Jan, come and attack me, and I'm going to strike like that. And just castles and plays a cagey game where he's going to strike back in the center. Eventually, yes, there it is, e4. Now he's going to target the space. He's going to activate his pieces as best as he can. Because Jan, yes, he's got space in the center with his pawns, but his pieces aren't actually that active. White's pieces are ready to open up over here. Over here, his knights are going to be jumping into the center of the board. So let's see what happens. So we get rook e8, queen slides over to e2. The bishop retreats. Look at this. How could you play chess when 5 of your 7 lovely pieces are on the back rank? And I mean, one may as well be on the back rank. There's bishop here. So we just get a couple improving moves. Yes, you play this move. It's a bit committal because you're pushing the pawn forward. Yeah, no, up on time, always. So you do block this bishop in, but you target the knight, and now you control this f6 square, which could become important. You want to attack. But we push, and now look at Jan, just taking space all the time. Yes, you can come here. I'm not worried about that at the moment, because my bishops are here, and they will protect my king. And this pawn that you pushed here might become a weakness if I can target it sufficiently. So we get take, take. The knight retreats, which is not the best move, and now Jan is better. What Alireza should have done, according to the computer, is play c4. Don't worry about the king side anymore. It's open. You will get there eventually, but you need to play c4 to address what's happening on the queen side, because this can take, but you want to clarify things there. So instead, we get the knight retreating, and this knight comes in now from Alireza. He's now starting to activate his pieces. Rather, Jan's going to start activating his pieces. Alireza's idea comes to fruition. He gets his knight to the square, targeting this pawn, maybe going to f6. The knight now plops itself on to d4, so we snap it off because it was attacking the queen. We give up the bishop, so now it is blocked. But now look at this. We've got eyes on this, and Jan is better. And you need to win this, but Jan makes a mistake. He shouldn't have infiltrated with the queen. The move here to keep most of the advantage is h5, kicking this knight away. An extremely intricate move to play. But he brings his queen in, and now, everything's getting defended. The queen gets kicked away, but all his advantage is gone. It's back to being level. And we trade off the rooks, and we win a pawn. Kind of. I remember Jan took this pawn, and he will probably soon take that one. So we move the bishop, and now look at this move. Nice. Targeting this, so you could bring the knight in, but you bring the queen back to hit the rook. Rook moves out the way. Or does it? Now you offer a trade, and Alireza's better. Alireza's going to strike back. But he takes the pawn, and he brings the queen back. Check. Here, take. Nice, very nice in-between move, because taking the queen would come with check. So we instead take the rook, and then we take the bishop. So now it's 2 minor pieces each. Light squared bishop, knight. But Alireza's pawns, although he's got the advantage because Jan's king is so weak, could have some problems. He loses that pawn, and the knight defends itself. But look at this, h4. We're going to go to attack. But look at this, the queen just in time. Knight retreats, queen comes in, take, take. And this pawn should queen. This pawn should decide the game. It is a clean passer. You cannot lose that pawn if you're Alireza. But he does. He loses the pawn. Yes, he's now up a piece. But with all these pawns on the same side, Jan's got one extra pawn. There are chances that he can build a fortress. And he's up a minute. So he might be able to do it. Magnus Carlsen famously said he doesn't believe in fortresses, but Jan is going to try and find one now. And he's going to try. And Alireza is going to do everything he can. He's going to push and push and push. But you just can't get through. Eventually progress will have to stop. Knight f3, and here the players just repeat moves and make a draw. And Alireza could not find a way through. Jan Nepomniachtchi went on to win the next game. He's in the final. Huge upset. Alireza crashes out in the semifinals. Jan is through. But who will he face? Will it be Magnus Carlsen or will it be Maxime Vachier-Lagrave? So let's have a look in the first game. Magnus with the white pieces plays c4 and we get g6. So a modern opening against the English, which turns into like a symmetrical English. And okay, I was going to say for some part the players do nothing, but Magnus just plays knight to h3. And not only does he play knight to h3, he then plays knight to f4. Just asking to play e5. Which, MVL doesn't do. It's like Magnus. I know you're doing some suspicious things. What is the knight doing there? But I'm not going to overcommit with my pawns. You're obviously trying to secure the square, so that's fine. I will maybe play e6 and secure that square. So let's see how the game unfolds. We get b3. Magnus going to fianchetto his dark squared bishop. And, so far the players just make improving moves. Nothing of consequence happening just yet. And here we get this move e6, getting control, booting out the knight. If I can draw straight arrows. So we get takes, and we get a big trade on f6. So now we've got the light squared bishops and one pair of knights each. And now we're just improving. So it's going to be who's going to be able to create weaknesses in the other. They're both about 5 minutes. So take. Now this is a weakness. It's a backwards pawn. It cannot go forwards. But that could also become weak. So both players are starting to create weaknesses in their position. Now we get a trade of the light squared bishops. But that pawn going to become weak. There's maybe some ideas to sacrifice and get the queen to take. Not in this position, but in some. And now we take. Now this pawn could be weak for Magnus. While he's targeting this, MVL might put pressure on that pawn. So it's cagey at the moment. And it is cagey up until we get this fantastical move. After queen to f3, we get rook to d5. And in my opinion, although it says MVL is better, this is where the game changes. So it's a move that looks impossible. But the thing is you can't take. Because you get forked. MVL did not blunder this. So he moved his rook, which is a mistake. It gives away some advantage. It wasn't the most accurate move. And then we get queen to e4. Now this pawn can't take because it's pinned to the king. And we get knight here. And here Magnus Carlsen is better with white. You can see by 0.2, which is not much. If he plays one move and he finds it, and this is where the game truly changes, rook takes c5. A brilliant move. Because after takes, now black is worse. Because you take, and you get the fork. So white is now up a pawn. And quickly, they are up a second pawn. And from here, Magnus Carlsen just converts like a machine. You cannot let Magnus go up even one pawn. Here he's up two. And he ends up mating MVL. In this position, it's m2 because you would take the knight and then you would get mated on e8. So Magnus wins the first game. But they have to play 6 games. MVL's also going to get games with white. So he plays e4 and we get c5. Knight f3. And instead a dragon. A hyper-accelerated dragon. Because sometimes you will play d6, e6 and then only g6. So we get the hyper-accelerated dragon. And this is known to be bad. Sometimes at the major level. And it almost turns into a French defense. With this pawn here on e5, d4 and c3. If you play e6, it's like a French. If you get your bishop out and then e6, it's almost like a Caro-Kann. So the bishop comes out and we get like a Caro-Kann structure. This light squared bishop is a bit weak because it could be targeted, but you're going to trade it off. You get it outside the pawn chain. And so here, MVL, just by the way, completely in his prep. He's up 2 minutes on the clock against Magnus. Knight ge7, the bishop comes here. A mistake according to the engine. And it was the first move he did think a bit, but it's not that bad at the moment. The queen comes out, and we attack the light squared bishop. It doesn't just take for the knight, because then you would take with the rook and start defending that pawn, which is hanging at the moment. So we offer a trade, and that was a mistake, maybe. Now Magnus might be better. Take, take, take. And f6, take, take. And the rook comes here, and Magnus is better. This was the only move kind of holding for white as best as you can. And the knight comes in, and Magnus is better. And he brings his rook, and he brings his king. No need to castle when you're Magnus Carlsen and you're the endgame god. But is he? Is Magnus better? Because it's level, and MVL's pieces are kind of, more active. And his tactics, and now he's better. And now he's better, and Magnus Carlsen might have to find a fortress, which he doesn't believe in. We get take, take. MVL now hunting Magnus's king into the center of the board. But will Magnus get this pawn through to promote? The bishop is currently defending it. And now it's a draw. MVL with 2 minutes 40. He made a mistake with knight to a5. Instead, what he should have done was to play f4. Don't ask me to explain this move. I can't. I'm not nearly as good enough. Knight to a4. And Magnus Carlsen, check. Here. And he takes the knight. And this is probably losing. It still should be a draw. But MVL finds the best move. Several moves in a row now. He plays bishop to f2. When the king slides here, bishop to c4. C5 rather. Kicks away the rook. And then here, the rook check. We pick up the knight. So now we've got bishops of opposite colors. So there's still drawing chances. But, you know, what is the black king doing in the center? Normally you want your kings in the center, but it just feels like you're about to be targeted so many different ways. So we take that pawn, and now the white king getting checked a bit, and we're getting some black pawns falling, but some white pawns also falling. And here, white's winning. White's winning, and white's winning, because they've just got 2 pawns. Like, how did that happen? Magnus just went down 2 pawns, and MVL, here, just by the way, I skipped over a brilliant move. Look at this. The class of this move. So firstly, I hope you see you can't take this rook. Because we queen. That's the main idea. Also, you can't do nothing, because let's say you take this pawn, then I win the bishop. And I will win this endgame. So he can't do that. So that's a brilliant move that he finds to win himself the game, because we sacrifice, and we just go here. And this endgame, rook and pawn versus bishop, will just be winning. So MVL strikes back. It's now 1-1, and we head to this game. This will be the final game I show in the video. You don't want to hear me talking forever. You want to hear the result. Magnus Carlsen, white pieces again. Instead, he goes for his trusty Catalan. We get d4, g6, and we get a Catalan, but a closed Catalan. MVL probably won't be taking here and trying to play for b5. He'll be playing this as closed as possible. So he plays bishop to g7. He's going to play this fianchetto setup and have his bishop like this. So we get rook e1. So just out of curiosity, this rook e1, this was seen in the World Championship. I don't know if you remember. Gukesh, move 7, rook e1 in this position against Ding Liren. So we get take, and e4, and b5. So MVL is going for this plan. This is very classic MVL. He plays a lot of Queen's Gambit accepted, and you do get these types of positions a lot. So Magnus tries to instigate on the queen side, and now we get take, take. Now you've got these 3 pawns effectively on this one. So this is always going to be a problem for white to deal with. But what you get in return is the Catalan pressure and a big center. So Magnus is going to be relying on that. So he loses the center pawn and sacrifice. Look at this. That's a clean pawn. You can take that. Obviously the rook takes, but it just weakens your king so much. So you've just got to leave it there. We offer a knight trade. You take with check, and you bring the knight out. And now there's too many problems. And Magnus, with the Catalan, it's a cheat code for him. He gets the dark squared bishop. And MVL here makes a dreadful mistake. He plays knight to f4, and he allows queen takes queen, and we take the rook. Yes, you can take this bishop, but I move my rook out the way. So after take, take, I get the bishop. I'm just up in exchange. Yes, you have some pawns for compensation, but Magnus will put that to the use. You're now not up pawns anymore. And what will happen is we will simplify. You will try to get your pawn through. I will safeguard my king from your 2 knights. And then we will go here, and now I will sack the rook for the 2 pieces, and now Magnus Carlsen is just up a piece, and from here, Magnus Carlsen wins the game. With king to g2, he wins the game. Magnus Carlsen will play Jan Nepomniachtchi. It will be a 2021 World Chess Championship rematch. Magnus Carlsen will be looking to win the Champions Chess Tour for a 5th time in a row. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like down below, comment on how I can improve and what you'd like to see me cover, and subscribe if you'd like to see more from me. Until next time.